The day I found out I was going to be on the show, I ended up in the exact same room as Jimmy himself. Going into the games, I was able to tell who was kind of playing a game and who was more genuine. Can we trust each other enough for this new challenge that we don't even know what it is yet? Also seeing their strategy, see who can lie and whatnot. There are guards with riot shields. And then all of a sudden I just hear people yelling. I'm like, how do you survive this challenge when you know your captain is going to take the money? I did not want JT up there on the pedestal. None of us trusted Mia. We're kind of screwed here. I would not have taken that $1 million. It was stressful.
Hey y'all, welcome to another segment of Behind the Beast, where we learn more about the contestants of Beast Games Season 2, Strong vs. Smart.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name's Brandon. I'm player 31, and I work in marketing both in consumer insights and social media planning.
The tables have turned, Brandon. The editor is now the host, and the host is now in the hot seat. How you feeling about that?
Yeah. It's kind of weird whenever, I've been like doing this whole experience from my perspective now. Yeah, it's very different to be on the receiving end. Right. Kind of we were talking about it, and I wasn't going to make an episode of me being a guest at first, but you kind of convinced me that like, hey, maybe you should tell your story. So I appreciate you kind of pushing me to do this.
Of course, man. So your job is understanding how people behave. Did that make you feel more prepared for Beast Games?
Yeah, you know what? I think that usually like in my job with qualitative interviews that we do, oftentimes we have to like look at people we're interviewing and see whether they're lying, seeing if they're kind of manipulating the truth. And so I think when going into the games, I was able to tell who was kind of playing a game and who was more genuine. And I think the connections I ended up forming, who are my closest allies, were those people that I could genuinely trust. I had no doubt in my mind. And so far, seeing the gameplay through the season, I'm very happy with the way things have played out. We're going to have to see in future episodes, obviously. Right. But I think, I'm able to kind of like read that a little bit. And I think that's kind of the main advantage with having that like research background.
So is it a level of in-person marketing then? So it's not like background, like media generation or anything like that?
So yeah, with consumer insights, it's more about getting insights from consumers and using that research to apply it to future marketing tactics. So for example, at my past company, what we did is we did a survey. So a lot of it is also quantitative, and we do survey coding. Basically, like if A, we code it to 1, B, we code it to 2, and then we're able to like do statistical analyses on those questions and basically group people in certain categories. From those categories, we're then able to like target specific marketing towards what they're interested in. For example, if someone's playing a video game and they like to collect achievements, we could target like, oh, hey, this new game has a whole new list of achievements you can attain. If somebody's into like buying different like customizations for their character, we can send out targeting basically saying that, oh, there's this new outfit that came out in the shop, so go buy it now. And basically that was kind of my job to group those things together. But I also have done more like social media marketing, and that's kind of what I did in the agency I worked on in my most recent job.
Okay, really cool. You mentioned to me that you happened to get on the show in the most wild sequence of coincidences. Would you mind explaining a little more about that?
Yeah. So I feel that the way that I got into the show was kind of one of the more wild ways of doing so. I'm actually a huge fan of Feastables myself. Not a sponsor, not an ad. I actually do buy the chocolate genuinely. And I went to the store. I got 18 pieces of chocolate, 6 of 3 different flavors. My favorite are cookies and cream, almond, and milk crunch. And so I just like to stock up with them for the month. I basically put them up, threw my receipt in the trash, moved on with my life. Like 2 days later, I saw an advertisement saying, scan your receipt from Feastables for a chance to be on Beast Games. And when I first saw that, I was like, man, I was just lounging in my bed, and I was like, there's like no way I would ever be able to get on the show. There's probably like hundreds of thousands of people trying to apply for this. But, after like thinking about it for like 5-10 minutes, I was like, you know what, you got to shoot your shot sometimes. So with that, I decided to get up. I literally had to rummage to the bottom of my trash. It was a little gross, but you got to do what you got to do. I pulled out the receipt. I found, the Feastables are on this receipt, scanned it, threw it back in the trash, moved on with my life. Then basically a few days later, up to a week later, I got an email on April 1st saying, congrats, you won the sweepstakes for Feastables. And if you didn't notice, April 1st, that's a very prominent day for April Fool's Day.
Right.
So
Went over my head in the moment.
yeah, so but that day I was already on edge and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna let anyone fool me. I'm locked in. So when I got that email, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. But I was like, did I tell any of my friends? Maybe they fabricated this email and sent it to me. But then I realized like I literally told nobody because I didn't think anything was gonna come from it. And I was like, why even like
Hmm.
talk about it if it's just gonna be like something you scan? Like people enter like lottery sweepstakes all the time. You never win those.
Right.
Um, so yeah, with that, basically, I looked at the email. It was actually from the right at feastables.com, whatnot. And I was like, holy crap, this is legit. So somehow I, by scanning receipt at the bottom of my trash on my first try, I ended up getting this, which is wild. Because I saw on Reddit, there are people that apparently bought like hundreds of chocolate bars and
Oh my
didn't get
God.
in. And somehow with the first 18 I bought, I was very fortunate, lucky to have been selected in that random drawing process.
Hmm.
And yeah, basically found out that with going through the process, we had to do like a mental health test, a physical test. We had to prove how we were smart or strong. And obviously, I was not going for the strong team. So yeah, basically had to go through all that process and then hope I was going to be on the show.
So my experience was actually somewhat similar. I didn't do the Feastables bars, but I was doing the postcards, and for me, I kind of had the same thought process as well. Of I'm just gonna lose this anyway. It's just some silly sweepstakes. There's millions of people entering. Why even bother with it? But
Yeah.
something in the back of my mind was like, just do it. Like I had Shia LaBeouf back there. Just do it.
Just do it.
Don't let your dreams be
And so
dreams.
I said, screw it. Let's go ahead and fill out a couple postcards. And I had only sent 3 in. There was the last 3 days of like that weekly entry period.
Dang.
And it was the following week that I ended up getting into the show as well. So I
Nothing is
was
impossible.
quite lucky and fortunate, like yourself, in my little sweepstakes journey too.
So you only spent, or you only did 3 postcards, you said?
I mean, I did a few more, but it was for the following week. But I had won the
Sure, sure,
drawing
sure.
of the previous week.
So basically, you spent like $2.50 of postage stamps plus maybe no cards, but a little bit. So maybe $3, and you
Yep.
got onto Beast Games. That's
Yes.
kind of wild.
Yes.
Because 18 chocolate bars, I actually spend like $36. So I actually
Oh wow.
contributed to their Beast economy. But I was actually going to eat those chocolates. Like this is something I do in my normal day. I was just buying groceries. So
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Right, right. You also mentioned that there was another coincidence that occurred the day you found out you were going to be on the show.
Yeah, yeah. So the day we found out it was going to be on the show, I was just working in my office, and I got an email from the Beast Games Feastables, or actually from the Beast Games team, and we got an email saying like respond #ready to compete if you are confirmed that you're in the game. So I typed that in. I was freaking out, and I was like, oh, my coworkers have no idea what I'm about to do. It was really exciting. But that night, living in New York at the time, one of the things that you can do in like LA, New York, to some of those big cities is they have premieres for TV shows and whatnot. And I
Hmm.
don't do it that often, but I decided to go to a TV premiere that night for a show called Love, Death, Robots, the season 4 premiere that was happening in New York.
Okay.
So, again, I don't do this often. I was like, I'm gonna do it. I ended up winning the chance to go see that early screening. Went there that evening. Thought nothing of it. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna see a cool show this evening. Walked in there. I was in a room of like 100, 150 people out of New York. That's the very minuscule like percentage, like point
Hmm.
zero zero something. And it was really cool. They showed us a few of the episodes, but then after one of the episodes, there's like a guy on screen playing a character, and I was like, he kind of looks familiar. Like he kind of reminds me of somebody. The voice and everything.
Uh-huh.
And then out of nowhere, they're like, all right, so I think we need to introduce the voice actor behind this character. Bring in MrBeast.
Wow.
I was just like, what? Literally, the day I found out I was going to be on the show, I ended up in the exact same room as Jimmy himself. Out of everywhere he could have been in the world, everywhere I could have been in New York in the world. Again, I don't do these premieres that often. It's not like I randomly go and I try to meet celebrities and so forth at these events. But
Hmm.
somehow, in the show that I was on, I ended up being in the same room. And so I did try to go up to security and I was like, hey, I'm gonna be in like one of MrBeast videos because I was technically under an NDA, so I couldn't really say Beast Games. But I was kind
Right.
of being like whether they would like kind of let me. But no, yeah, they're kind of like no, like you could be making this up, like like yeah.
Yeah,
So I don't blame them for
anyone can
that.
say this.
Exactly. But I knew I was gonna meet him in just like 2-3 weeks from that point, so I was like, yeah, you know
Right.
what? Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there. But the coincidence of that happening, I don't know. It kind of felt like, man, hopefully this is fate. Hopefully, like I'm being brought into this competition for a purpose.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, if you've seen my journey on the show, the purpose is not $5 million, but I'm still trying to figure out what that purpose is.
Wait, you
But
didn't
yeah,
win,
hopefully something
Brandon?
comes to us.
You've been
Spoiler
telling me
alert.
for weeks that you were the winner. Honestly, because you broke the NDA, I was a little
Oh yeah.
concerned that you weren't actually going to see your 5 mil, but that's
It was
news
all
to me,
bluff,
man.
Nick. All bluff.
And you didn't pick it. So going on to Beast Games, your goal wasn't just to win money. It was to find an original musical of yours and push it toward Broadway. Did that have you a little on edge when trying to share that with people about what your motivations were for the $5 million?
Yeah, so while $5 million would definitely change my life, that would completely like pivot the way that my life has been going, and I would be able to like help my family out and make everyone feel comfortable around me. I do think that getting on a show like Beast Games is genuinely a once in a lifetime opportunity. And when I was given this opportunity, I was thinking that this is something that you want to take and maybe even make something bigger than just yourself. Now, if I won this $5 million, sure, maybe I could use like 100K to like help those around me and like get us out of debt and whatnot. And while there are like the people have very notable causes, we were telling each other what we were all doing. A lot of people are trying to support their family. A lot of people are trying to like help their loved ones, and those are all very notable causes. But it's something that everybody says, and I was just trying to find something that maybe people could root for that wasn't the traditional thing that you see on a TV show, a game show of this size. And yeah, so the purpose of Polyphony is to kind of deal with multiple perspectives all across the political spectrum and to kind of show that at the end of the day, we are way more alike than we think and that we should actually try to hear each other out more than attack each other. I feel right now the world is a very dangerous place where it's an us versus them mentality. And a lot of times people have their reasons for doing what they do, and that's okay. But if we really heard each other out, we could actually understand each other more. And the goal with that is, if this ever were to go to like a professional level, is use profits every single month to kind of try to give back to society. And whatever was like more prominent this that month. So, for example, if there's like a natural disaster that happened, maybe we could help like alleviate some of that. If there was like a shooting that happened, even provide resources to families who are victims of those. So I thought like with this $5 million hypothetical grand prize, it would be really cool to actually bring that and invest it back into society. And the way I see it is if you invest into the world, then the world will eventually invest back into you. And yeah, so that's kind of what I was planning to do with the 5 million if I would have received it at the end of the show.
That's a really beautiful sentiment. Kind of Mr. Beast philanthropy coded, some might say.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the reason is like because yeah, Mr. Beast, with all the hate that he gets, he actually does a lot of good in the world,
Right.
and his whole thing is creating entertainment with the purpose of giving it back to society. And so I was like, I'm going to try to go on the show and kind of use that same mindset to kind of do what he does in a different, complete area of Broadway, an area that he doesn't touch at all. And then who knows, maybe we would be able to partner in the future, whatnot. That's something that they would have to decide on their own terms, but.
So when you went onto the show, you had a deadline for your departure. What was giving you that time constraint, and how did that ultimately pan out?
Yeah, so this is a weird situation. I had a kind of unfortunate situation with my job. When I was working for them, I basically asked my boss, like, hey, I got this opportunity to go on this game show. Would I be able to do so? It could be up to 6 weeks where I have to be out. And basically, he started running that through HR. He was very supportive. I really appreciate the guy. He really did like try to put in the work for me. But eventually, my company got back to me and they were like, yeah, I don't know if we can offer you 6 weeks, but what we can offer you, and it says in your play handbook, on our limited PTO, you can only do 3 weeks at a time. So I was like, okay, 3 weeks. Now, the chances are that I would probably get her out in the first round, second round, third round, if the show was like how it was in season 1. So I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I could do these 3 weeks and I could try to make the most of the moments I have there and then basically come out at that point. So I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll do 3 weeks. That's totally okay. I want to lock in 3 weeks. And then my job basically came back with, well, I don't know if we can actually do 3 weeks. We're only going to give you 1 week. And I was just like, oh my gosh, 1 week? Like, I at that point, I was like, man, is this even worth it? But I talked to my family, and they're like, hey, you know what? Maybe you can like at least go for this 1 week, make the most of that 1 week. And I was thinking basically if the show continued the same format as it did in the first season, maybe there would be like a self-elimination bribe where I could just eliminate myself like they did in the first episode of the first season and get like 20K, walk back home at least a little bit richer than $0. So that was kind of my goal. But I did tell myself if I was walking in there that I would not become a villain. I would not eliminate other people. That is just something that I could not live with, to ruin other people's journeys for my own self-gain. So I said, if there's a way to eliminate myself and take the money, I would do it. If not, then that's that. So I went onto the show with a week in goal. And whenever I went in there, I was having fun. We did the first challenge. That was a blast. The blocks ended up being super fun. Moved on to the city. And I was hoping to wait for the second game to start because I was thinking they got to add a bribe sometime soon. But a few days before the second game started was the day that I have to basically make that decision. It's like, okay, I'm going home, and this is the day that I told my parents how to come back. This is the day that all this was happening. But unfortunately, the day that I was supposed to go, there was a severe weather warning where they basically told us to go into our dorms and kind of like just quarantine in there and we don't know anything. We don't have our technology. We don't have like any way to check the weather report, see how bad it actually is. So in my head, I was like, man, this could be like a hurricane or something. I know we're on the East Coast, so maybe something's coming in from the coast over here. And so with all of that, I was kind of like in a very devastated moment where I was like, I don't think that I could go back to my job because of this weather. And I felt very terrible in the moment because I literally promised my dad when I was going on the show, I was like, hey, I promise everything will be okay. I'm only going to go on in a week and then I'll come back to my job. So whenever I realized that like, oh, I don't know if this is reality anymore, I was very devastated for a few days in the city. And I was kind of just like staring down at the countdown timer, the 24-hour countdown timer that they had on the screen, and just like counting down my demise a little bit after that moment. And because I also realized like even if I did try to self-eliminate myself, there's a chance that like the airport wouldn't be even open to take me home because of how intense the storm is. And yeah, so I kind of just had to live with that. Eventually, the guilt was kind of like building up, and I was like, you know, maybe this is kind of like I'm already like a few days late to work, but maybe like I self-eliminate myself and at least explain to my parents like what's going on. And so I was kind of feeling down, but the production team, they convinced me to talk to the therapy team that was on set. And so I spoke to one of the therapists, and he was a great guy to talk to. And one of the main things we talked about, we walked through every single scenario of what I could do, what I couldn't do. He drew a little stick figure and drew arrows in both directions. The one that pointed in the future, that was anxiety. He said, if you think about what's going to happen 5 years in the future, what's going to happen next week, that's all anxiety. And those things aren't real yet. And you can't worry about what's to come. You can make educated guesses about what's to come, but all those things aren't necessarily guarantees. And if you worry about them now, they're going to hinder you in this moment. Now, if you look back 10 years into the past, a lot of things that affected you in the past, all of those things accumulate to who you are in the person. Those things usually accumulate in depression. So the way he framed it is if you look 5 to 10 years in the future, are you going to be more upset at yourself that you didn't try to beg for your job back, or that you decided to continue, or that you gave up the chance to compete for $5 million? And when he kind of put it in that perspective, it really did say like, yeah, I was kind of getting like underpaid. I felt kind of undervalued by my coworkers that were working around with me. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe this is like a sign, like a third sign after winning the sweepstakes, after being in the same room with MrBeast. I was like, maybe this is the third sign that like, you know what? Maybe this is the moment for me to like go full into this competition. So at that point, I decided that, you know, maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to lock in, and now I'm going to go for that $5 million.
During the block tower game, we don't really see much prep work or strategy. What was that experience like for the winning yellow team?
Yeah, so there's obviously with how short the episodes are, there's only so much they can show. They can't show literally every single aspect that goes into it. Now, one of the big moments for me, is at least strategy-wise, whenever we were choosing which team we wanted to be on for our captains and having them pick us. During the blocks game, I don't know if you noticed on the show, it said that 22 people made it past that one round, while in the behind the scenes, they say that 18 people made it in that one round where people could advance to the city. The reason for that happening is because there are actually 4 people where they had to review the footage, and then they decided that they got added to that group. But when that happened, there was a lot of time where those top 18 people, they kind of started becoming a little bit cliquey. And I love them now, a lot of great people. But in the games, I was a little bit frustrated because they were like, oh, we're the top 18. We're so great. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of was like, okay, whatever. Eventually, when I found out I was going to be in the top 22, they basically were still kind of in that mentality of like, yeah, but we were like the original 18. I was like, I was still part of the group of 22 that passed in that same round.
Right.
And so that frustration kind of divided me versus like some people in those group. Eventually, when it came to choosing the teams, one of the people in this group is Johnny. Again, I want to clarify, great guy, love him. But in the moment of the city, I was like, I know that he's not going to choose me because they kind of do have this clickiness. I think he's going to prioritize his friends. I want to be on a team with Corey. So my strategy was, you know what? I'm going to be very quiet right now. I'm just going to shut up and I'm going to let them decide captains because the
Mm-hmm.
smart thing to do is to take the people on each team that are the most scarce. So for that, it would be the strong and the OG team. And I think the strong team was a better move, kind of looking at what the challenge was going to be. And so when saw that Corey was picking all the strong people for his team, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is where I need to shut up. And I was like, I don't think Johnny's going to pick me purely for the fact that he's kind of choosing his friends at the moment. And I'm going to focus in on eventually getting on Corey's team. So I was kind of avoiding eye contact and kind of just like waiting for the numbers to dwindle down. And eventually when it came down to like 15-ish people left, I like raised my hand and Corey chose me. Great guy, appreciate him. So that was part of like what was my own personal strategy. In the game itself, I was kind of on the base support team, so we were helping make sure the tower didn't wobble as much, and we would
Okay.
also help like lift the blocks up in the first place. So then it made it easier for both Kobe and Mitch to pull those blocks up. It was actually really cool, kind of like behind the scenes that you may notice is that there are guards with riot shields. So there are multiple times where the tower actually fell, and when those blocks fell, we had the riot shield guys like knock those out, and that was kind of terrifying, being like underneath those. And like we obviously had
Yeah,
like
I
routes where they told
imagine.
us like, yeah, if like a block were to fall down, they were like run this direction. So yeah, basically I was like locked in and I was like watching the entire time. I was like, if something falls, I am getting out of there. But that's like a little cool behind the scenes stuff. But I think eventually to contributing to the team, our block towers kept on falling down. But the way that I contributed, I think near the end, is I realized that a lot of the blocks that we were stacking, Mitch couldn't really see how things were stacking on because being right on top of the blocks, you can't really see if they're really centered. So my goal was kind of like shout at Mitch and be like, "Hey, adjust this block this way, like 3 inches," so then to kind of balance the center of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud of that because I think by the time we reached the top, that tower was the sturdiest it was in any of the rounds prior. And I think, at least I'd like to believe that that little bit helped Mitch stay on the tower as sturdy as it was. At least I'd hope so.
Yeah, that's awesome to have been a part of that, like that successful and winning tower. I'm sure that feels really good to have been a huge part of that.
The one thing that I wish, though, in the moment that I didn't see, I was underneath the tower. So everybody was watching Mitch try to reach for the flag. I could only see Johnny because I could not see right above me. Their blocks were covering everything. So I didn't get to see Mitch wave his flag in the moment. I only got to see that on TV, which was really cool as well. But I was basically just like under the tower, just holding it, making sure like it didn't sway at all. And then all of a sudden I just hear people yelling. I'm like, oh, we won, cool. Because I couldn't even tell, so that was fun.
I bet that was a little stressful too in that
Yeah,
moment, seeing Johnny fall, and then you're just like, God, is Mitch actually getting it? Is he getting it? Is he getting
yeah,
it? No one's giving me feedback.
yeah. Because everyone was just dead silent, just watching at that moment. Yeah,
So there was a lot of drama when choosing teams with the obstacle course that wasn't shown on screen in episode 3. Can you walk us through what happened?
Yeah. So one thing that they show in the episode is that we're already in our teams, but they didn't show actually how those teams formed. My main alliance in this competition, I would say, was Sue, Katie, and Hannah. Those were three people that I met that when I was talking to them, I was like, okay, these are very genuine people. Again, I think I'm pretty decent at reading people, and those are the people that I trusted with my gameplay, with my life in in that competition. And I knew that Hannah and Katie were extremely close with each other. And that's why I was also like, okay, you know what? I'm going to kind of try to lock in Sue as my number one person. And then they would be kind of like my second and third person. So we were kind of predicting with 50 people left after the second challenge that we would have to maybe get in groups of 5. There'd be 10 groups of 5, and then maybe only part of some of us make it through. So when I was forming teams in my head, I was like, okay, I got Sue, I got Katie, I got Hannah, and I can take whoever else on the team. Honestly, at that point, I don't care because I trust the other 3 enough, and I think that we could vouch for each other if we ever needed to at that point. One thing that also wasn't shown on the show is when we were choosing our teams, they actually threw in a surprise rule at us, and I think it's actually a very smart reason that they did it. The smart people were dwindling down quite a bit in these challenges. So one of the rules that they added was that each team had to have a maximum of 2 smart people. And
Right.
that just shifted the entire plan that everybody had in the entire competition. Because now I couldn't do a team with Sue, Katie, and Hannah. I could only choose
Mhm.
one of them because I was on Smart myself. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for Sue. So I tried to run up to her. And what I did, she was already locked in with somebody else. Now, I do
Mm.
want to clarify, I love Sue. No hard feelings at all. We had to choose a moment. We had to choose our teammates in a very quick moment, and I wasn't near her. And one thing that I realized, even though I did try to have lunch with her every moment that I could, even though I tried to hang out with her and be next to her, next to all the challenges we could, one thing that I didn't account for was the amount of time that she spent with her um, female cohort in the dorms, and that's
Right.
something that I didn't see and I didn't account for. So I thought that Sue and
Mhm.
I were each other's number ones. Um, and even though I was one of her close and loyal teammates, she had somebody else in mind at that moment. So at the moment, I
Mhm.
felt betrayed by her. Again, I do not feel that way at all. She actually explained everything that happened. Love her so much. Great person. And yeah, but basically that kind of led to me having to look for other teams. And the first team I kind of saw was a team with JT, John, Mia, and Luke. They're all talking to each other. I noticed that Luke was the only smart person on that team. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try to talk to them, see what's up. I also had Ella with me because Ella was on the strong team and somebody that I could at least trust. So I was trying to get her on my team. I brought her over to that group, and I was like, "Hey, you guys are looking for another smart person?" They're like, "Yeah." We didn't know each other at all. I really didn't speak to Mia a single time. I didn't speak to JT a single time, and I didn't speak to John a single time. We were
Mhm.
all kind of strangers, kind of figuring out can we trust each other enough for this new challenge that we don't even know what it is yet.
Right.
And um, with all of that happening, I knew Mia's gameplay from season 1, and even whenever she came into this season and she had the 100K bribe as the one of the unmasked guards, the thing that she said is that this is a game for yourself. You need to do whatever you can to make sure that you win. And I thought that motivation of why she should be brought into the game was kind of one-sided and kind of selfish on her end. So
Mhm.
I did not want Mia on our team for the eventual obstacle course. So I literally told her in front of the group, "Was like, I'll be on your team, but I do not want Mia on here." And rightfully so, I get why she was upset at me because I called her out in front of the whole group. And I was trying to get Ella onto the team instead of Mia.
Mhm.
But John and JT, they're kind of like, "Oh no, that's a Jersey girl. We don't do Jersey up here in New York, you know." Um, and yeah, so they're kind of pushing that, and I was really trying to push for Ella, but eventually we kind of had to just break ties. I was like, "Ella, I'm sorry," and then she had to be like, "It's fine," and then she just went to go find her other team. Um, and yeah, so kind of the way that we formed teams, it really was a group of people that I knew nothing about. I knew Luke a
Mhm.
little bit, and we talked a bit, but the other 3 people, I really was on a team of complete strangers that I did not trust. But that was kind of the only thing I had to and could do at that point to be on a team. And it did work out that we did pass the obstacle course. And but obviously it didn't work out in the round after that.
So in episode 4, we got to see JT take the $1 million bribe and ultimately eliminate your entire team. What was going through your mind during all that? What were you feeling?
Yeah, so I think honestly one of the big moments that they did miss is how we actually chose our captains. Because I'll be honest, I did not want JT up there on the pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to deciding who we should send up there, um, let's look at all our choices. JT and John, there are basically rumors that they're wanting to split the money, so obviously they're going to be trying to like push each other up onto that pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
Mia, whenever she came into the competition, she literally said with her bribe case that you should be playing here for yourself and you should do what's best for you. So obviously I wasn't going to put her up there on that pedestal because she definitely would have taken the million.
Right.
And then after that, Luke was probably the best option I had, but he did directly say that he would take $1.5 million to us. And actually, in earlier episodes, he was having a conversation with Katie and Nick, and there he said that he would take $1 million. So, okay, Luke, I see you. I saw that earlier comment.
right in episode 1.
Exactly. And I was kind of shocked to see that that early. But yeah, so it really seemed like nobody was the right choice. I really thought that I would have been the best choice for that bribe. But to discredit me, kind of what John and JT said was, since I lost my job, I would be desperate for money, so I shouldn't go up there.
Right.
And yeah, that kind of like hurt my chances. But and, like some people are like have asked me, is like, would you take the $1 million? And I generally say that I would not, because again, my goal is to put on a Broadway musical, take it to Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
And most Broadway musicals cost $20 million or more to produce. So
Wow.
getting 1 million of those wouldn't really do anything. It would like maybe give me a few workshops and so forth.
Yeah.
I would have so much more to do. And it would kind of like hurt my reputation, especially on a musical that is supposed to be all about doing the right thing and helping people. If I became
Mhm.
successful just because I stepped on other people who I thought were not as important for like my own self-interest, that would look
Right.
bad for a musical that's trying to do that. So
Right.
I generally believe that I would not have taken that $1 million because I think there is bigger things out there than that. And I think, yeah, again, like putting good energy into the world, hopefully that good energy will come back and help you out in the future. So basically, it ended up going down to Mia. She ended up having to decide who was going to go up on that tower between John and JT, because Mia didn't like me because I called her out earlier and said I didn't want her on our team. Luke said that he would take $1.5 million. So she really was choosing between those two, and she ended up choosing JT.
So
Now,
everyone
whenever
had voted for themselves, with the exception of Mia. Mia was the one who was actually open to voting for someone else, if I'm understanding correctly.
No, Mia was also wanting to get herself up there, but nobody
Okay.
would even like give her the chance because she said whenever she was giving the bribe that everyone is there for their own self-interest, and so none of us trusted Mia. But at
Mhm.
least she had the opportunity. She was closer with JT and John because they wanted her on the team
Gotcha.
compared to me and Luke, basically. Um, but yeah, basically, once JT was actually chosen, that's when they started doing interviews with the captains. And I noticed that all the other captains, they had their interview for like maybe a minute, 2 minutes, but
Mhm.
his took like 10 minutes. And as soon as I saw how much focus they were drawing to him to like get what his motivation is, I
Mhm.
kind of realized like, oh, we're kind of screwed here. Um, and so from my perspective, I was thinking, how do you survive this challenge when you know your captain is going to take the money?
Uh,
And so I was trying to use my smart brain, try to think of any
right.
strategy I could. And the only thing I could think of is I saw that Nick was also very tempted by the money. And I think that out of all the captains, if it would have kept running, JT and Nick were the only ones that would have pressed the button based off, again, like my perception of people. I'm usually pretty good at reading it. And as we saw in the episode, Nick was very close to pressing that button. So
Mhm.
basically, since he decided to use the leverage of saying that, like, hey, I'm a cop, you should trust me, cops are reliable, you should vote me to be on that tower, I figured it was fair game to use that as leverage to actually test his honor and see whether his word actually meant anything. So whenever he went up there, some of the things I said was that JT is currently lieutenant, and this is a test to see whether he's actually worthy of being a captain. being a Captain Bribe, because obviously like the irony of a cop taking a bribe, it's right there in front of you. Then there's also like the fact that he worked 3 blocks away from where I lived. That wasn't planned at all. It just happened to be a wild like coincidence that he actually worked 3 blocks away from where I live. So I was just trying to get into his head, like, hey, don't take the money. You're going to disappoint your boys. You're going to disappoint what it stands to be a police officer and whatnot. And then another moment, whenever JT actually did press the button, they eventually brought him down when they found out that, like, we weren't going to, like, attack him. We were just kind of like, they're like, okay, they're safe to bring him down. And he started, like, pacing around the money. And I really wish they would have used the shot, because it kind of reminds me of the, like, JC above the bed with, like, the millions or the 650K under him. There's, like, money of JT, like, walking around, pacing around the money. That would have been a really cool shot to see as well. But he was kind of avoiding eye contact with any of us, and Luke was in tears right next to us. I was frustrated JT in the moment because of what he did, so I kind of just like yelled at him. I was like, JT, you better look Luke in the eyes. It's the least you can do at this moment. And I kind of wish they would have shown that as well, because I feel like there's so much drama that just wasn't aired, and it was like really cool to be a part of. But at the end of the day, I was really trying to get into his head about this whole honor thing, and he called my bluff and he pressed a button. And I will give credit to JT where it's due, that I do believe that he actually did feel bad for ending a lot of our journeys. And at the end of the day, it is a game show, it's a game, and I did get outplayed. And it's unfortunate, but that's just how Beast games go sometimes.
Right. It's such an amazing experience, but I mean, some could say the 199 of us lost. Obviously, now we know, it's a little less of us than 199 that lost.
Yeah. There will be multiple winners this season, and he was one of them. He outplayed me trying to get into his head. And I really wish I would have gotten into his head a little bit longer, because I think Nikki was just about to press that button, and then it would have been a completely different season. But I think one of the hardest parts about this whole thing is not even only getting betrayed for that $1 million, but that was literally the cutoff right before everyone else got 5K of participation money. And then also, that's when the Survivor crossover happened. And now, like, a lot of the cool things are going to be happening this season, and a lot of, like, narrative importance is going to happen. It's just kind of unfortunate that, like, this was a cutoff before people became important a little bit. And all of that was kind of like taken away because one guy thought that his goals were more important than any of ours. It was a bit frustrating, but he played the game and he beat us at it.
This is a night for you guys to celebrate yourselves. Congratulations on this amazing show. Holla at Bryce, holla at me, I'm Wendell. And 2 people made this night very possible. First and foremost is our good friend from Survivor. Sue, can you come up here? And I also want to bring Hannah up here wherever she is. These 2, the reason why you're all in here are because they worked so hard and they stayed on us about it. We thank you guys so much. We know a lot of you traveled so far. So if you guys just might have something to say to your people.
Yeah, we're so excited that all of you came out here. You flew from all the way from California, from all over the place. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. And please come to more Bryce and Wed events in the future. They're awesome.
And I also think we're about to start the show. But Sue, I think you said you wanted to bring some people.
We had a cliffhanger on episode 3, right? So let's bring all of the people that were on the cliffhanger up to the front. Woo!
So switching gears here, Where did you get the idea for Behind the Beast in the first place? Like, what was your motivation to get into this kind of project?
Yeah, so funny enough, it actually started with me reaching out to JT, and I wanted to make a video with him of all people. There was a lot of people that received villain edits in season one, and because of that, they started receiving death threats. They started getting doxxed. They started getting their businesses review bombed and whatnot.
Hmm.
And I kind of wanted to make a video with JT being like, hey, don't do those things. You can send all the hate comments you want. Like we put ourselves out there on public TV, but as soon as those go into our real lives and affect the people that we love, stop. You stop being like an internet troll. Don't do that. And I do mean that even now, like if anyone in the season that you do not like, never take the step of crossing and going into their personal lives. That's not cool at all. But yeah, so basically after that, I was like, I want to make a video with JT, but I was like, wait, actually, it'd be kind of cool to like get to know other contestants and get to know who they are. And since I didn't have a job since I lost it, I was like, I have some free time, so might as well like make a road trip out of it. And just so these ideas starting adding up together. And yeah, I was basically also with like season one, one of the biggest criticisms is there wasn't a lot of character development for these characters.
Hmm.
And so it would be really cool to show a lot of these like early arc characters and see what their actual motivations, what their actual stories, what the season could have been if there was just like one small thing that changed that would have brought them into the top 50, that would have brought them into the top 25, that would have brought them further and further on into the game. Because as we know, one small little gameplay choice affects everything for everybody. And it could be an entirely different top 10 at the end of the season if one game played out differently.
And to your point, I mean, if we look back at the captain bribe, if it had been a second later, really, if JT had waited, then we would have seen Nick press that button, and we would have seen what team eliminated? Katie?
It was Katie, Tyler, Jack, and August, and which is crazy because they
Right.
so far have had a lot of like narrative bits here and there at the beginning of the first few episodes. So I'm excited to see what further is to come with a lot of their storylines.
Right. Me too. Me too. So for Behind the Beasts, you drove 17,500 miles across the country, you absolute maniac, to meet with a plethora of contestants from our season. What was the hardest part about that entire journey?
Most people, when I was talking to them about this, they assumed that I would be sleeping, like finding sleeping arrangements. I actually slept in my car for a good amount of it, but also a lot of the contestants were really nice and let me stay at their places.
Okay.
But yeah, sleeping in the car, actually, I kind of got used to it. It wasn't even that big of an issue. I kind of just dealt with it. I was still awake enough to like move on. I honestly think the hardest part is scheduling things with people because everyone had their own day jobs, their own night jobs at times, and just finding time to meet up with people and actually have enough time to create the content that we wanted to do. Especially my phone didn't have a lot of storage, so sometimes I had to record a segment with somebody, upload the video onto a drive, delete it, then record with somebody later that night. It was stressful, but it was well worth it, and it was really cool to catch up with a lot of friends that I made on the show.
All that being said, if the opportunity arose, would you want to host this again come season 3?
You know what? I saw the announcement for season 3 being like represent your own country. So if the Beast team wants to have me back, if this goes successfully, I would be honored. That'd be so cool. We could do international interviews. That would be absolutely wild.
Yeah.
But I guess the question is, would you want to come back as an editor as well?
Is that even a question? I'm interviewing you here, sir, and we already knew that answer. I would love to come back.
Yeah. So if the Beast Games team would have us, I think we would instantly say yes. That in an
100%.
instant. Genuinely, to the Beast Games team, thank you so much for even giving me and Nick this opportunity to produce this content. We recorded all of this, and yeah, just getting it approved in the system and making sure that everything is safe to put out there. It really means the world that you guys are taking the time to do that and let us be part of the MrBeast ecosystem, even in a tertiary way. So genuinely, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to go forward with our aspirations.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And as you know, to finish things off, as you always do, we're going to do some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
If you could hire one actor to play any role in your musical, Polyphony, who would it be, which role, and why?
Without a doubt, Olivia Rodrigo of all people.
Really?
And I would want her for the roles of either Amber or Janet. And the reason why is because one, she's already like a theater kid. She's nerdy.
Okay.
She has a great voice, but also she has a lot of like advocacy work in her music, in her like on social media, and I feel like
Okay.
she would fit the themes of the show very well. It wouldn't be just a celebrity just to have an A-lister in the show. It's someone who actually fits the message of the show itself.
That's a phenomenal answer. I I mean, I didn't have expectations for your answer, but that was a great answer.
Appreciate it.
Favorite musical you've seen on Broadway?
Something Rotten. I saw it. That was the second show I've ever seen on Broadway, or second musical I've ever seen on Broadway. And there's a standing ovation from the audience at the end of a musical. It's a song in the show. Absolutely blew me away. And this was after seeing Hamilton the day before. Still Something Rotten on Broadway.
Okay. What was your favorite activity to do during your time in Beast City?
Without a doubt, all the board games. We played so many code names. We played a lot of Mafia. All those nights of just like staying up late, getting to talk to people, and like also seeing their strategy, see who can lie and whatnot. Those are honestly like super fun.
I was gonna say, like honestly, watching people play Mafia and even the very little that I participated as well, I was just like, is this a wise idea for any of us to kind
No,
of
not at all. But it was fun.
to kind of show our cards? Like board games all the way, have fun,
Yeah.
but like a game that completely revolves around lying, should we really be just advertising for funsies?
Yeah.
If you could star in one show that's currently on Broadway, what would it be?
Ooh. Honestly, I'm going to give you two because I really love these two so much.
Okay.
One is Hades Town. I would love to play Hades eventually one day. I have like a bass baritone voice, so that'll be really fun. But also because I have like a jazzier musical theater voice, playing Gil Brentley in Maybe Happy Ending would be absolutely a dream role.
That sounds fun. And how did Beast Games change who you are?
Yeah, so before Beast Games, kind of mentioned in the earlier question, I felt like I was kind of underappreciated work. I was going through like a rough patch in my life. And actually, so I even got a tattoo of how much the show meant to me. The semicolon tattoo is a part of it. If you know, it's basically kind of like mental health awareness. Sometimes if you're feeling like you want things to stop, it's a symbol for like this is you want to keep going. The semicolon instead of a period allows the sentence to keep going. And this show, meeting some of the most inspirational people on the planet, kind of gave me hope back into myself and made me believe in myself more again. And that honestly kind of gave me the courage to even do this series. When I first started with Behind the Beast, I was like, oh, traveling across the entire United States in a month and a half, can I actually do this? But seeing all the amazing things all the other people on the show did, I was like, you know what? I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to try my absolute darn best. And I did it. So yeah, honestly, this show gave me so much motivation to make myself a better person. I even started getting healthier, taking care of myself. And yeah, honestly, I couldn't be more thankful for even the experience of being a part of it.
I completely relate with that entire sentiment between the amazing opportunity and experience of just being on the show, but honestly, more importantly, the what's the word that I want to use? The refined cast that we had,
Yes.
and how amazing all of those people are,
Yes.
was just so life changing in every way, shape, and form. And I couldn't be more grateful to have been a part of this cast and a part of this whole experience as well.
100%. Yeah.
So on that note, I want to thank you, Brandon, for taking the time to share your story and also giving me the lovely opportunity to be a host in your place.
You did great.
And I want to thank all of you for sticking around and watching through Brandon's story and seeing yet another episode of Behind the Beasts.
Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching another episode of Behind the Beasts. It genuinely means the world to me. Now, for those who do not know, we are also doing a fundraiser across the entirety of the series for Major Connections. It is a foundation created by Gloria, one of the other contestants on the show, and its purpose is to provide resources as well as a sense of community for those with disabilities, both kids and adults, in rural communities. Now, oftentimes major cities, they have the funds to be able to provide these resources, but smaller cities do not, and that is what Major Connections aims to solve. If you want to learn more about Major Connections, check out the link in the description. If you have the financial means to do so, please donate to the cause. And if you don't at this moment, that's okay. Please share it with your friends and family. But for now, thank you for taking the time to watch Behind the Beast, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.